I want to bring in CNN law enforcement analyst James Galliano and criminal defense attorney R.J. Manuelian. And James, I start with you. You hear that package, all the different ways the prosecution might have helped the defense. Do you agree that they maybe handed them some wins?
Lynn, it's possible. It was a morning of riveting and compelling testimony, no doubt. And first, let me just stipulate this. Botham Jean and his family, those are the victims. We all understand that and get that and grieve for a family that lost an innocent man. But having said that, the caveat is this woman's life is destroyed, and it is the perfect storm right now where her actions are being looked at, I believe, in the sense that the state did an overcharge here. I could understand them going after her for manslaughter for the points that you just made right there, the mistakes that the state has already made. Manslaughter is an unlawful killing without malice, and it still requires conscious disregard for human life. You can make that argument. But, Lynn, to charge this police officer, this off-duty police officer, with murder, I think it's a stretch, and I think they're going to lose the case.
R.J., to you, I mean, Joey Jackson said yesterday they can consider manslaughter after the murder charge if they can't get to that threshold that James is talking about. Do you think that would be more reasonable?
You know, I see this case as a two-prong analysis. Number one, was the actions of Officer Guyger reasonable when she got lost? She's going inside the fourth level. It's not her level. She goes inside, opens the door. She notices that her apartment is different. There's a smell of marijuana coming out of the apartment. There's a red carpet on the bottom. So the jury first has to decipher whether or not her mistakes were reasonable, and I think that's going to be based on the fact that she had a 13-and-a-half-hour day with CRT, Critical Response Team, where she was taking down 3 prisoners hours before with the SWAT team. So you got to go into the mentality, the tunnel vision of this officer and how she was. So as long as the jurors believe that her mistakes were reasonable, and as you said, the prosecution's investigator said that he got lost himself, as long as they believe that Guyger made reasonable mistakes, then they have to approach the second prong. Did she have to shoot Mr. Jean? Well, if she believed, and this comes down to her testimony, and I believe exclusively down to her testimony and her state of mind, if she believed that she was going to get shot and that there was a deadly threat, then she is allowed to use her gun against Jean. But the question is whether or not the jury is going to want to hear more evidence as far as why she didn't de-escalate the situation. But as we heard from her testimony, she did try to de-escalate the situation. She told him to put his hands up, although that was refuted by the neighbor who testified, who said he didn't hear anything like that. It's really going to be up to the jury to decide whether or not she is telling the truth and whether or not her defense attorney is humanizing her to the point where the jury could see that she made a mistake and find her not guilty.
Real quick, R.J., yes or no, do you think she saved herself on the stand testifying today?
Yes, absolutely. She was sympathetic, empathetic, and I think that this is going to be a hung jury on most of the counts. I think that she may be found guilty of the criminal negligence, but that even in my mind is a question.
Gentlemen, thank you so much, and we're going to continue to monitor the breaking news, bring you the latest from her testimony throughout the show. Until then, James Galliano, R.J. Manuelian, thank you.